Hi, welcome to Conversations at the Effie, here at the Effie Arts Collective, situated on the unceded territory of Kamloops. I am Aaron Shufletoski, the host, and with me today is musician, producer, and educator Kris Ruston. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Kris, you've got a very intimate relationship with the Effie Arts Collective in the building we're in. You have some family connections back in the past to this building.
Yep. My parents told me that had told me several times when I was younger and growing up that I spent quite a bit of time on the old wood dance floor that was in this venue. With at the time, this is the early '80s. At the time, we still had walkers that were on wheels. I think they've been banned in this country. For some time now, but yeah, there was a disco ball in the room, and when my parents were, they managed the place between 1980, 82, and yeah, they would come in to clean up during the day when they ran the club. I'd be on the dance floor whizzing back and forth in this this walker, right? And so, yeah, all sorts of stories of when my parents were running this place. My father was a musician in this town, and so he was booking in here. He was also playing in here with his groups. And my mom managed the bar. It used to be called Joe's Cabaret.
So music has been in your life forever.
Yes, since I was just, you get tipped out into a situation, and yeah, my father was a musician, so yeah, since day one, it's been pretty heavy in my existence.
Did your family encourage you to go into music, or were they kind of like, stay away, it's a bad choice?
It was a little bit of both. I don't think my father wanted me to become a gigging musician, somebody who was hustling all the time for that kind of work, because it's not an easy life. I think both my parents had hopes that I would become a band teacher, or working with the district and having sort of a steady sort of income in that way. I went to school post-secondary. I studied music. And it wasn't very long I was there where I decided that I just wanted to play. And so my father, being a professional musician and a touring musician, I've definitely done some of that stuff, as well as other, sort of spread out.
So tell me your first memory of music.
I mean, when I was really, really young, probably 3. I'd be home with my dad during the day if my mom was working, and so he would be setting up for gigs. He played downtown all the time at the Plaza Hotel, and the venue in the basement of that place, it was called Duke's, and I remember carrying in maybe like a box of cables or something that I could carry, something really light. And kind of being in behind the bar there, and then of course hearing the band doing sound check and things like that. That's probably my earliest memories. Is just my father and his groups.
What was your first instrument?
The organ. My dad loved the sound of the organ, and when we decided that it was time for me to start taking music lessons. The home organ industry still kind of existed at the time. This was the late '80s, and so I started taking lessons with a woman in town who actually owned North Hills Music and Sahali Music for many years, and her name was Randy Carroll. And so I took organ lessons with her from the time I was 8 years old. Like it was until I was probably 15 or something. And then in that time, I got into playing guitar and other things as well. So,
What's the first thing you tell your students about music?
well, one of the first questions that I get from them for some reason, it's just kind of funny. I mean, a lot of them ask, is the instrument hard to play? Is it difficult to play? Or they'll ask me, what is the most difficult? Because I know that I play a few different instruments. What is the most difficult, out of all the ones you play, what is the most difficult to play or difficult to learn? And it's always, I always say kind of the same thing. I tell them, it's like, all these instruments are sort of the same. It takes time to figure out. It takes time to just be comfortable with these things. And they're all easy to play, but they're difficult to play well. And so that's one of the things that I usually start with if they have those kinds of questions.
So you've said that you're a multi-instrumental player, musician. What's the same about all the different instruments you play?
I tend to gravitate towards instruments that require a lot of heavy lifting and just it's a lot to move around. So I would say that's all the same. There's a lot of gear. So you pack it up for a gig. It doesn't matter if I've got a drum kit, hardware, all the microphones, all the rest of that, or if I'm packing a keyboard rig or a guitar rig. It's as far as playing these instruments, there are similarities and differences, and there's crossover things, when you're thinking about, when you're playing. But yes, well, that's I would probably just say, yeah, it's a lot of gear.
What is it about Kamloops that brings so many musicians here? Why is there so many musicians in Kamloops?
It's a small scene which I think can be comfortable for certain players. Vancouver. When I lived in Vancouver for a couple of years, I was studying music down there. The scene was quite happening at that time, and I think it probably still is to some extent. It's usually the same kind of wherever you go, but Kamloops, I'm not sure. There are lulls, it kind of goes up and down. It's like this. There's times where it feels like there's nobody kind of around, and there's nothing really going on, or very little. And then there are times where there's just so many players and musicians, singer-songwriters, and they want to be here. They want to at least check out a smaller scene, be a part of it. And at the moment, I think there's quite a few folks that have come from out east, just due to the pandemic. They're not quite. It's out in Ontario, there's still is not enough work, right, for musicians who are just looking to play and try and make a living doing that. And so some of them have come out this way because they've heard that there's some more opportunity, and so I think that's certainly part of it at the moment. But yeah, Kamloops is it's a strange little town. People, they come and they go. So,
what's the one thing that you think Kamloops has for musicians that you can't get anywhere else?
I think because it is a smaller scene, there's definitely some support from one another. Like it's musicians supporting other musicians. It's this kind of vibe where I think a lot of people realize that it's too small of a scene to not do that, to sort of do your thing and not really engage with other artists, right? I think that's definitely I think is unique in this area for sure.
And what does Kamloops really, what does Kamloops need? What's that one thing that if Kamloops could have would just make it that much better?
I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but a performing arts center would certainly be helpful in this, in this town in terms of just artists being able to do their thing and have, people who want to support the arts enjoy what those musicians are doing, what those artists are doing. So, that's certainly one thing.
Would that help local musicians? There is some arguments that say that the Performing Arts Center will just bring touring bands through and not give the local community a place to play.
Right. It depends on how. I think it just depends on the approach and who's, if these venues are willing to, and there's, the Sagebrush Theatre is it's booked all the time, right? It's booked years ahead because there's just so many companies and folks that want to utilize that space. And, if we had something, I think, performing arts centers can, if they're able to be diverse in that way and connect with local artists, local bands and things, and have and open up the opportunity, I think it could work. It's hard to say before it's up and running, kind of thing, right?
You've worked at the Sagebrush Theatre. You've worked with WCT,
I
Western
have.
Canada Theatre.
Yep.
You seem to be quite in demand. What are the things you think that you bring that make you so desirable to work with?
Is myself as a musician?
Yes.
I think just those guys are so much fun to work with, and and they've always. I think we all kind of we're on the same page about a lot of things, and I get along really well with those folks. The fact that I play a couple of different instruments, few different instruments, it's easy to say, okay, we would like, we'd like you to be involved. We're not sure where we're putting you yet, kind of thing, right? And it's and if I'm gung ho, they'll think of a place to have me. And I've done shows with them where some of them where I'm playing pedal steel guitar. There was a show or two that I did on kit percussion, playing drums. I've done things where I have lines, I'm being contracted as an actor, and so that's different. But yeah, most of my experience with Western Canada has been in the pit, in the pit band, and it's I can, I think being able to read music is important for those guys. Musical directors are much easier to work with when everybody's on the same page in that regard. So,
How do musicians network? How do you keep? I know you've got a great group of musicians that you've worked with in the past. Very diverse group. How do you guys all keep in touch? How do you know what's going on?
It's on social media. Yeah, I don't know how we did it before because it was a long time ago. But there was a scene, and you left the house. Like when I was playing in punk rock bands in the late 1990s, or doing shows. It was before the internet. It was difficult to network and at least in the same way as we do now, right? And so, I'd say Facebook is still big, in regards to just keeping everybody in touch and on the same pages and looking at the same posts, the events and things that are going on. And I think everybody gets wind of what's happening on the scene pretty quick and fairly easy now in that way. So
you've done a bit of producing. Maybe more. Maybe you've done a lot of producing. How do musicians find you and reach out to you to produce their work?
I'm a little bit I'm a little bit quiet about that portion of my work on on social media, because it's something that I become very busy with. So there are times where I'm overwhelmed and I just kind of like, I'm not really recording right now. Or at least I'm not, open to taking on new clients at the moment, just because I've got so many things on the go all the time. But that's, usually just again through social media is where most of my, and word of mouth too. Other musicians will ask folks, if you show up at Long and McQuaid and you're loitering there, it's you can ask anybody walking around and just kind of also doing the same thing, like, hey, what's happening? Who are you recording with? Who's this guy connected with? And so there's a little bit of that still as well.
So a 15-year-old discovers Led Zeppelin and says, "This is what I want to do with my life." What's the advice you give them?
I think if that's a passion of theirs, and they, that's more times than not that changes, as they get into it, right? And so it's like, I think if a younger musician has a kind of a vision of what they want to be doing and has a passion for it, you find out what you're good at, and then just dive headfirst into it. And if that's what they want to do, and I think by doing that, it's they're going to know for real whether being in a Zeppelin, either a Zeppelin tribute band or a Zeppelin-esque style ensemble is something that they want to do. They might dive into it and go, well, let's just, hold on a second, let's adjust a little bit, or let's, so it's, I still say go for it. It's not easy to to make a living, or to make it today, because I feel like again, with social media being as huge as it is, and the internet in general, and just the changing of content and the way that we consume everything and anything now has changed. Those musicians, are a needle in the haystack, and it's always been like that, but it's just even more people content creators and musicians, and just like Instagram and TikTok, and it's super overwhelming for me.
Would you be more successful if you left Kamloops? Would you be if you were in a bigger center, or does the internet now make it that you can be just outside Kamloops on an acreage in the middle of nowhere and just be the same?
I think the internet has certainly allowed guys like myself to live a little quieter and not have to tour, and because you can reach more people online. So, the question is sorry, just repeat the beginning of the question again.
Would you be more successful if you left Kamloops?
Oh, if I left Kamloops, right.
Set up in Toronto,
right.
or a big center like that, Vancouver?
Yeah, with the cost of living and stuff, I don't think so. I think if I stay put where I'm at, this seems to be working for me. And so me personally, I don't think if I move to Vancouver or Toronto, there would certainly be more opportunity, and there would be more musicians especially if I decide I want to be playing jazz or something. There's bigger scenes in those bigger centers, and so you can tap into that. There's probably some more opportunity to play, to record and write, and just hang with great players. But yeah, I think for what I'm doing, and because I sort of do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, where I'm at seems to work well for the moment.
You have a very eclectic and diverse history of music. You've gone from punk bands, standard rock and roll tunes, to a collaboration with a xylophonist.
Oh, yeah.
What's the common theme throughout all those bands?
I'm not sure if there is much of a of a common theme. I mean, I guess for me, I've just like I'm not very particular about genres or. Well, I mean, there are preferences that I have, but like I mean, I think there's really great music in every genre that exists, and I think there's terrible music in every genre that exists, and so I guess that would be the common theme, and I'm just kind of tapping into good players and trying to get what I can from them, with what I'm working on at the time. And yeah, I mean, I when I was in my 20s, I wrote a lot of kind of fuzzy nerd rock kind of stuff that sounded like Weezer or the Rentals, and these sort of synthesizer-based type power pop songs and things like that. And then yeah, I mean, I really love playing jazz, and I love the opportunity to improvise and not have to sing. so there are groups that I've pieced together that works in that way for a little while. And yeah, I like to bounce around because I get bored with myself. So.
You've got into composition as well.
Yep.
You composed the 2011 Western Summer Canada Games theme music.
I did, yeah.
Do you does composition go someplace else in your brain? Or is this all just one part?
I sort of, yeah, I guess it goes into compartmentalized. I have to get into I have to be in a certain headspace to sit down and actually come up with things that I think are going to work for what the project is. Yeah, that was an interesting the games. It was all done in the studio, and so yeah, like if I mean it's late nights and a lot of caffeine that I can't handle to begin with. Yeah, composition is. I guess I'm definitely in a different space, and I have moments where I'm writing a lot, and then there are moments where I can't seem to come up with anything that sticks, and it's like this idea where there are just great. There are really great ideas. There's musical ideas floating around, and if you're just at the right time, the right place, and you're able to sort of grab one and capture it and lay it down and have it work. It really is, for me, it's a timing thing. So,
who locally has really inspired you?
In what way?
It doesn't have to be musically, but who really have you looked at locally in the community that's kind of, maybe inspired you to stretch out, maybe, or maybe encouraged you when you felt like changing streams, or.
I'm gonna have to say, I mean, Henry Small was a big deal for me for a long time. I connected with him in the late 90s because he knew that I was a local musician that, again, played a few different instruments, and he was looking for somebody to play in his group at the time, and so he had me come in, and I ended up he built a recording studio at the time. I think this is probably 98 or 99, and he had this studio that he built downtown, and I was just hanging out there. And I spent years and years hanging out in that studio. I ended up becoming an engineer in there and kind of managing the studio for him for the last few years that it existed. And that was 2013, I think, that he closed his doors. And so I spent thousands of hours inside that studio with Henry. And yeah, he had a lot to say. So I mean, somebody that that definitely inspired me musically and otherwise. While I at least felt I was stuck in this place, in Kamloops, and like talking to him, it didn't feel like I was stuck, after talking with Henry, because I mean that guy's been all over the place. He lived in Los Angeles, for years, and he grew up in New York and toured all over the world with great musicians, and so just to sit and chat about all that stuff and kind of put things into perspective, it's like, Henry, how in the hell did you end up in Kamloops? And he's got stories, and it's So I mean, if I was going to pick one guy and locally in this area, that's for sure Henry.
Do you like to be challenged musically?
Yes. I love nothing more than to have my ass kind of handed to me on stage musically, because some of the players that I have the opportunity to get up on stage with can and will kick my ass.
What's most challenging for you?
Like in terms of
music is.
I mean, I would like to, I like to think of myself as a competent improviser. So, when it comes to playing jazz, I think that's probably one of the most challenging things for me, and just keeping up again with some of these guys that I hit the stage with.
Do you have a music bucket list?
Yes, I think so. I've never gotten to play in a real metal band. Like there are groups that I've heard, even locally, just groups that are so tight, but it's so heavy, and they kind of have it figured out. And I think I would love to be a part of something like that at some point. I don't really hang out with a lot of metal musicians, but I do know some in town, and I think playing in something like real heavy would be kind of fun. That's definitely on the bucket list. There's some. I mean, I would love to do some more musical theater stuff as well. That's something that's again, if the opportunity is there.
What's the thing you're most proud about so far in your career?
Oh. Because I've been doing a lot of recording and producing other artists. I mean, there's a long list of like, even just like small records, EPs, things that I've done over the last 25 years. I think I have a collection of master CDs that I kept copies of for myself, and I'm pretty proud of that the stack that exists, because I was involved with every single one, whether I was engineering, producing, or playing on the record, mixing some of it. It's just, if I was involved, and I've just the number of musicians and the people that I've been able to connect with over the last couple of decades has been quite incredible. So,
all right. Well, thank you, Kris. I think
okay.
You've had a great career so far, and we wish you all the best moving forward, and hoping that you'll one day have a metal band that you can bring to the Effie.
To the Effie, sure. Absolutely. This will be the venue that if and when it happens. That's it'll be here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for joining us at Conversations, and we'll see you next time.